Hello, and welcome to the 2023 Fourth Trimester Arizona Ecosystem Summit. My name is Jennifer Hoprich, and I am a village lead here at Fourth Trimester Arizona. As an Arizona licensed maternal health clinician for over 12 years, I am passionate about serving and uplifting families, creating connections, and supporting maternal and child mental health. And I know your attendance here today means that you are as well. Thank you so much for being here. We have a large audience today, which is so exciting. That also means that we want to be extra respectful of everyone's time. We ask that you please take a look and observe the Zoom etiquette guidelines found on our screen. And as a reminder, this is being recorded. Please also review our legal disclaimer also found on your screen. We want to start off our day with a welcome blessing from Maria Welch. Maria Welch was born and raised in Tuba City, Arizona, on the Diné Navajo Nation Reservation homelands. Maria Welch's pronouns are she, her, asan. Her formal education includes a background and degree in psychology from the University of Arizona. She is also a team member for the research project Navajo Birth Cohort Study. Maria is also a community Western agency postpartum full spectrum doula. She is married to Juan Apachito, and together they raise one daughter, Chinoa. Please join me in welcoming Maria.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very nice. Yata bene she Maria Welch Yinishia, a she hinishla, de Bethla Jina Bashichin, was a flana deshiche, was a flana deshinola, aquat ego as son inishla, Shahasteen Juan Apachito Wilya, Shicha a Shinoa Wilya, Quinin is Diza de Nasha, Navajo Birth Cohort Study Banashnish, Ado Community Doula Banashnish. Good morning and welcome to the Fourth Trimester Summit on Improving Maternal and Child Health. My name is Maria Welch. I am Salt Clan and a member of the Diné Nation. I was born and raised in Tuba City, Arizona, in northern Arizona, and currently reside here as well. For the past 9 years, I have been part of a research team for the Navajo Birth Cohort Study that is studying the effects of heavy metals such as uranium and their effects on pregnancy outcomes and on early childhood development. I am also community-based doula for Tuba City and for the western region of the Navajo Reservation. I want to acknowledge the space and land I come from that is also home to 22 federally recognized tribal nations from all across the state of Arizona. In my location, Tuba City, while it is on the Navajo Reservation, it is ancestral lands of the Hopi and San Juan Southern Paiute as well. To the west, less than an hour away, is the beautiful and sacred Grand Canyon, which is an important site and place of origin among indigenous people across Arizona, the Southwest, and Mexico. To the south is the sacred mountain Dogo Slade, the San Francisco Peaks in Flagstaff, also a sacred site to tribal nations. These beautiful places of reverence and relations remind us of who we are and our connection to Nihima Nahastan, Mother Earth. The animals and environment around us is infused into our many cultural identities for how we interact with the land, the plants, the animals, to how we gather and hunt, to how we identify in our clanship. The environment is very significant, not only in our identities, but how we teach and learn from and animals through our education and ceremonies and rituals that are specific to pregnancy, motherhood, and parenthood. The Grand Canyon is a place of emergence in our many indigenous stories, prayers, and songs, and should always be remembered when we talk about human emergence and birth and parenthood. We honor our ancestors when we acknowledge the land and the ancestral territories, and it is a reminder that we are part of the ecosystem and we are not masters over it. It is the land, Mother Earth, that connects us in prayer and ceremony. It is the land that reminds us that we are all connected to motherhood in some way, and that bond to the land and with each other is sacred. I will quote a part of the Diné Blessing Way prayer to end. I will be happy forever, nothing will hinder me. I walk with beauty before me, I walk with beauty behind me. I walk with beauty above me, I walk with beauty below me. I walk with beauty all around me, and my words will be beautiful. Hajona Hasli, Hajona Hasli, Hajona Hasli, Hajona Hasli. And thank you for your presence today and for all your hard work you do for your community, your families, and people so the next generation will thrive. Thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful blessing, Maria. It was beautiful. Next, I would like to introduce Dr. Jenny Beaver, Executive Director and CEO of Fourth Trimester Arizona. Jenny holds her doctorate in biology from UC San Diego and a BS in biochemistry from ASU. Jenny is an international board certified lactation consultant and also serves as a member of the ADHS Maternal Mortality Review Committee, the the State Maternal Mental Health Task Force, and the Maternal and Child Health Translational Research Team at Arizona State University. But most importantly, Jenny is a mother of 4 herself. Her vision of fully integrated care for all during the postpartum period was the seed that started Fourth Trimester Arizona. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Jen. And thank you so much, Maria, for that beautiful blessing. I think it's a wonderful way to start our day. As we start our work this morning, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the traditional lands and unceded territory of the A'adem people on which I am standing today, as well as past and present Indigenous caretakers of these lands and the 22 sovereign nations that share geography with Arizona. These are the Auchin Indian community, the Cocopah Indian tribe, the Colorado River Indian tribes, the Fort McDowell Yavapai Nation, the Fort Mojave Indian tribe, the Fort Yuma Quetzalten tribe, the Gila River Indian community, the Havasupai tribe, the Hopi tribe, the Hualapai tribe, the Kaibab Paiute tribe, the Navajo Nation, the Pasquayaqui tribe, the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community, the San Carlos Apache tribe, the San Juan Southern Paiute tribe, the Tonto Apache tribe, the White Mountain Apache tribe, the Yavapai Apache Nation, the Yavapai Prescott tribe, and the Pueblo of Zuni. I want to pay my respects to the elders of these nations today. It's important to me that we, as a fourth trimester ecosystem, acknowledge the Indigenous caretakers of these lands for 3 main reasons. The first is that Indigenous people are our neighbors, our friends, our community members, and Indigenous nations share geography with 40% of Arizona. The second is that access to ancestral knowledge about birth and parenting is a right, and it is one that Indigenous people have not been afforded for generations through genocide and forced removal of their children. So as I acknowledge the sovereignty of these lands and nations, I also want to acknowledge the right of Indigenous peoples to sovereignty over their bodies, their births, and their children. Third, I want to uplift the work taking place via organizations such as the Siwapatli Collective, the Navajo Breastfeeding Coalition, the Dene Doula Collective, the Indigenous Breastfeeding Counselor Group, and many more to honor, cultivate, and bring ancestral knowledge to Indigenous birthing people. I'm so grateful for the examples they set for our communities and for their collaboration. I'd also like to give a labor acknowledgement today before we start our work. As a fourth trimester ecosystem, we must acknowledge that much of what we know of this country today, including its culture, economic growth, and development throughout history, was made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their descendants who suffered the trafficking of their people, slavery, and Jim Crow. We are indebted to their labor and their sacrifice, and we must acknowledge that violence through the generations and the resulting impact that can still be felt and witnessed today. It is present in the structures and systems that have failed to keep them safe in pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, and also failed to keep their children safe into adulthood. Let us recognize the labor of grand midwives of the South who delivered generations of American children, and the labor and sacrifices of the enslaved women whose bodies were used without their consent to advance the field of medicine. Let us recognize the history of the United States as complicit with racism. We recognize that these difficult histories persist in present-day racial realities, and we commit to dismantling racism in the spaces of our work. We invite you to work beside us to create change. I would now like to thank the Arizona Department of Health Services for their support of this summit. Your support is greatly appreciated. I would also like to extend a huge thank you to our amazing sponsors for their generous financial support. We are so grateful to supporters like you who continue to make a difference for families in Arizona, and we couldn't do what we do without you. I'd also like to take the time to introduce and thank our entire board of directors. Kendra Flory, our board chair, Sunny O'Rourke, our treasurer, Henry Shante, Alina Bullman, Amelia Lowe, our events chair, and Erin Owen, our development chair, for their support of the Fourth Trimester Arizona's mission to change the culture of parenting so no one has to do it alone. Thank you to our Ecosystem Advisory Board as well, who worked long and hard to create the sessions that you're seeing today and to find the right speakers and the right tone and the right topics. Thank them, please, today for envisioning this summit and the important topics that we have here with us today. It's only through their expertise and advice that we are able to bring such a wonderful event to fruition. And they've all worked very long and hard on this. So many thanks. I'd also like to take the time to thank my village leads. These leads work to bring support to the mental, physical, and emotional health of parents in the first 5 years after a baby is born. Many of our village leads are supporting the summit today and tomorrow, and I'll talk a little bit more about their villages a little bit later today. But they're all amazing, wonderful leaders in their own right, and they lead communities of parents, which is a huge, huge thing for us here in Arizona. And the biggest thank you of all today goes out to my assistant, Camille Goulding, who has worked tirelessly to make this summit happen. Seriously, tirelessly, often while corralling her 4 kids and giving up time she'd rather use sleeping or planting her garden. Today, in addition to having run a whole bunch of other things, she's running tech support, and none of it would be possible without her. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you, Camille. I'd also like to give a big thank you to all the volunteers who are helping us today and who have helped us in the past. Nonprofit work doesn't happen without lots and lots and lots and lots of volunteers who donate their time, donate their expertise and their energy to support the work we do. Thank you so much for all that you do to support us. We couldn't do it without you. All right, as I start my talk today about the 4th trimester in Arizona families, these are my disclosures. I don't have any. All right. We have officially started now the 3rd annual 4th trimester ecosystem summit. I am so pleased to say that since the work started in 2021, we have continued doing the hard work, and sometimes hard work, of coming together as a community to talk about how things are really going in our state and learn from each other how we can better support families. Together, we as the 4th trimester ecosystem are a grassroots, community-based network of maternal and child health advocates working to improve the health and well-being of Arizona's birthing people and their children. We come together with a shared commitment to improve the lives of families across Arizona. Those of you who are here today are part of this ecosystem, and that ecosystem surrounds and supports new parents. I'm going to move the slide for me, Camille. You can see on this slide, in addition to the description of the ecosystem, that 4th trimester ecosystem graphic on the left, with all those who interact with, support, and touch mothers and babies in the first 5 years of life. This year, I want to make sure we have a clear picture of everyone's role in this ecosystem. So I've asked you all to take a poll in Whova, asking what is your role in the 4th trimester ecosystem? And I think it may have already gone live, but let me look real quick. All right, I'm opening it right now. All right, you should have the rest of the session and probably the rest of the day to enter your role. But I really want to make sure that we capture every piece of all the people who surround mothers and children during this time of life. If you see yourself in this image, please choose that. And if you don't see yourself there, please add your role so we have a more complete picture of our ecosystem. I'll continue to talk as you complete that poll. Next slide, please. Thanks to the work of our Ecosystem Advisory Board, our goals this year are a little different than the last 2 years. We kept the first 2 goals: to collaborate across networks, to elevate the voices of those across the state, particularly the voices of those who are marginalized, and changed the last one from using the interruption of COVID-19 as an opening to improve maternal health to our long-term goal to improve maternal and child health through individual and collective action. Why do we call it the 4th trimester ecosystem? Those who have attended this in the past probably know, but since I know we have some new people here today as part of our ecosystem, I'll give a little background. Most of you have likely heard of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd trimesters. We hear about those when we're pregnant, when our friends are pregnant, when our partners are pregnant. Well, the 4th trimester is considered the first 12 weeks after a baby is born, when human babies are neurologically and physically immature in comparison to other mammals. Unlike most other mammals, human babies need constant 24/7 constant feeding, holding, comforting, and care during this time for their development. For mothers, this first 12 weeks is also a dramatic time of change where almost everything around the mother changes, from her physical, her mental, and her emotional health to her relationships, her workload, and her sense of self. Well, it's technically the first 12 weeks after birth as a trimester. For mothers and infants, the 4th trimester continues through the first year of life and beyond. At 4th trimester Arizona, we focus on the mental, physical, and emotional health of parents in pregnancy and through the first 5 years postpartum. But almost every mother I've talked to is convinced that the 4th trimester never ends. During this first year postpartum, our medical system spends a lot of time making sure baby is okay, setting up 9 scheduled visits for that baby in the first year of life. Yet for the mother, the 4th trimester is the trimester in which, to the healthcare system, the mother disappears. Most new mothers have only 1 scheduled postpartum visit, leaving them largely alone and unmonitored health-wise, unless they have the time and energy to reach out. In most other cultures, traditions set mothers apart during this time, with defined postpartum rest time and often celebrations to honor and protect the new mother at her most vulnerable time in her life. These traditions and care are very different from what the typical US mother receives. If she's lucky, she may get some help from her parents, her friends, or her faith community, although in general, it's short-lived. During the COVID-19 pandemic, she may have received nothing at all. Most mothers in other developed nations also get paid maternity leave. US mothers are lucky to get any maternity leave at all, and 1 in 4 US mothers goes back to work within 2 weeks of giving birth. In fact, a full 43% of mothers do not use FMLA, either because they are not eligible or because they can't afford to take unpaid time off. Adding to the stress of this time, 1 in 5 new mothers experience perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, and this got even worse during the COVID-19 pandemic. Maternal mental health disorders don't just impact the mother, they also contribute to cognitive, behavioral, and emotional problems in their children. In addition to this, or possibly as a result of it, the United States has the highest rate of maternal death in the developed world. This is the most recent data. And it has been steadily rising as the rest of the developed world has decreased their maternal mortality. The most recent data on maternal mortality indicate that a full 65% of pregnancy-related mortality of deaths during pregnancy or postpartum actually happen after the baby is born, in the 4th trimester, when partners are back to work, mothers may be back at work or managing alone, and no one else is watching. This is completely unacceptable, and yet given the fact that our country lacks adequate postpartum care, it makes sense that the postpartum period is the most dangerous and when we lose mothers. Here in Arizona, our maternal mortality rates have also been rising. You may notice these numbers are much higher than the previous slides. These rates are the pregnancy-associated and pregnancy-related mortality rates. So pregnancy-related deaths are deaths that occur due to pregnancy in some way. Pregnancy-associated deaths include pregnancy-related deaths and deaths that are deemed unrelated to pregnancy but occur in pregnancy in the first year postpartum. So you see on the top there, that's the pregnancy-associated deaths. So it's all the deaths. Some things like car accidents might be related in the pregnancy-associated deaths, where the number below on the graph, the 26.3, is the pregnancy-related deaths. And this is from 2018 to 2019, which is our most recent data. This comes from the Maternal Mortality Review Committee. You can also see the major causes of those pregnancy-related deaths. Whoops, back a couple slides. Thanks, Camille. Disparities are even worse for Black and Indigenous people of color, both in the United States and here in Arizona. Black and Indigenous people of color die at higher rates in the first year postpartum as well. It was for these reasons the Fourth Trimester Arizona was founded, to raise awareness of the gaps in care that exist and help parents find a community, a real live village to support them and connect them to the resources and support they need. Our mission is to change the culture of parenting so no one has to do it alone. And our vision is that all families will be embraced by their communities in their transition to parenthood. Fourth Trimester Arizona's programs connect maternal and child healthcare providers, social support systems, and parent support groups to foster collaboration, education, and to increase access to local resources. Our programming includes 4 main focus areas. Our Fourth Trimester Village gatherings for parents, of which we now have 7, almost 8. Our Fourth Trimester Arizona Conference that happens in the spring, which I'll talk about in a minute, and our Fourth Trimester Ecosystem, where you find yourself today, as well as our maternal and child health advocacy. I'd like to tell you a little bit about how our programs have changed and evolved over the past year as part of a tremendous amount of momentum that's been building around maternal health here in Arizona for the past 4 or 5 years. Fourth Trimester Arizona really started with our villages as a safe space to connect with other parents, talk about things that don't often get talked about, like our bodies, our minds, and our hearts, and to be connected to resources in our communities, really to be connected to the resources in our Fourth Trimester ecosystems. In 2017, we started with 1 village at the Idea Museum. In 2020, we were awarded a grant from the Vitalist Health Foundation to grow our villages from 1 to 3, adding an East Valley, a West Valley village to our Idea Museum village. Due to the disruption of COVID, we rapidly shifted everything online. And by the end of the year, we actually had 4 online villages, as the very determined Eileen Cayito convinced us to take Tucson along for the ride as well. You want to move the slide for me, Camille? That Vitalist grant also helped us start the first Fourth Trimester Ecosystem Summit in 2021 that was centered around what COVID-19 disruptions were doing to maternal and child health. Also in 2021, we were awarded a grant from PSI to start a Spanish-speaking village, making our village count at that point 5. Thanks, Camille. In 2022, we were awarded a small grant from ASU to start the Black Mama Support Village, a collaboration with the Arizona Birth Workers of Color and Lakeisha Muhammad, which has been a huge success thanks to that amazing collaboration. At the end of 2022, Lynn Lane with the Arizona Department of Health Services came to us with a request to start a village for Indigenous parents. And I was so very lucky that my dear friend Kimberly Moore Salas was excited to take on the role of Indigenous village leader, along with another wise Indigenous birth worker, Amanda Singer. They are both speaking for us later today, and they carefully cultivate that Indigenous parent support village. Don't miss their sessions. By the end of 2023, we will have 8 villages, as we will be adding an infant feeding village in collaboration with Canyon Pediatrics and the ASU Lactation Program, and it will be led by Ashley Brubaker. In addition to those changes, we are also rebranding the Central Village to have a more descriptive name, as it actually happens in Mesa, East Valley Village at the Idea Museum. And our East Valley Village is now the Fourth Trimester Arizona Virtual Village, open to parents and providers across the state and around the world through Zoom. I'm also so pleased to announce that through our partnership with South Phoenix Healthy Start, our Spanish-speaking village is now in person and led by the fabulous Alondra Marquez. And it's really amazing. I think they had like 40 people at the last one. Our Fourth Trimester Arizona Conference for Parents and those who support them is hosted each year in the spring at the Idea Museum in Mesa. We hosted our 6th Fourth Trimester Conference in March of this year, and it was particularly special as it was the first in-person conference we had held in 3 years. To advance the slide for me, Camille. For many, it was a cathartic experience. People just wanted to be with each other, as you can tell from these slides. And they wanted to be with people they hadn't seen in person really literally in years. We had a wonderful lineup of speakers talking about the mental, physical, and emotional health of parents. And we had a fantastic exhibitor fair. Even the weather cooperated that day, and everyone said it was a perfect day, and it really was. I'm not sure anyone left without flowers in their hands or their hair and warmth in their hearts. Next year's conference will be in late February or early March, so keep an eye out for the call for presentations in the next couple of weeks. We would love to have a great lineup of speakers and presenters this year as well. Our fourth and final program is our advocacy work. While advocacy work is not new to us, this is the first year that we've publicly acknowledged it as one of the major things we do. Perhaps it's the first year I publicly acknowledged it to myself. I think that's because advocacy has been rooted in the fabric of fourth trimester Arizona. We knew mothers were not okay, and we wanted to do something about it. And so from the beginning, we've advocated for mothers and children. This past year has been a great one for advocacy. About a month ago, Lakeisha Muhammad of the Birth Workers of Color and I traveled to Washington, D.C. to advocate for legislation to increase funding for programs that are known to improve maternal health, including access to midwives, nurse home visiting, and maternal mortality review programs. This is us with Senator Kelly at our visit. And here we are in front of the Capitol. Lakeisha will actually give us a bit more information about Mom Congress and her experience tomorrow in our last session of the day on policy. So if you're interested in being a part of that, please join us then. Fourth Trimester Arizona was also honored to be invited to be a part of the Maternal Mental Health Advisory Board that was chaired by Dr. Sarah Salek of Access, and that delivered 10 recommendations, to the legislature on improving maternal mental health in Arizona. Many of those recommendations relate to some of the talks you'll hear at the summit, including today's talks on culture and power and maternal health, the talk on infant feeding, the mental health of Arizona's mothers and children, and tomorrow's discussion of the Arizona Psychiatric Access Line and birthing and postpartum practices in Black and African American communities. I think that this, go back one slide. This list of recommendations will guide a lot of the work that many of us do here in the future to improve maternal health in Arizona. Thanks, Camille. Can you advance the slide? I've also been so thrilled to see the tremendous increase in the diversity of maternal mental health providers in Arizona that happened as a result of Arizona's efforts to bring the first ever PSI training for and by Black and Indigenous people of color. This effort was spearheaded by PSI and the Arizona Birth Workers of Color with the support of the Arizona Department of Health Maternal Health Innovation Program. Elizabeth Wood and Lakeisha Muhammad were definitely a huge part of this. And on the ADHS side, Lynn Lane and Heidi Christensen have really worked to uplift and empower the community to create grassroots programs and to let things like this happen and empower them to happen to support maternal health here in our communities. So big shout out and lots of applause for that group. Next slide. One of those great things is coming up next month on November 4th. This is a screening of birthing justice in our community that's presented by many of the wonderful change-making organizations that I've mentioned. I would highly encourage you to attend. It will be a great evening. And doing things like this are ways that we can work together to be a system of support for new families today and start building tomorrow's systems and traditions here in Arizona. Before I move on, I wanted to let you know that if this work is inspiring you and you want to be a part of it, we are currently hiring for a part-time marketing and events coordinator and a full-time program coordinator. If you're interested, please contact us and we will put you in contact with the right people and the right things to do. We definitely want to have an awesome team. So please let us know if you're interested in being part of it. All right. Those of you who have been to our summits in the past know that I like to end my talks with a visioning exercise. And today's no exception because I just can't not do that. That's what I do. I actually am a visionary and I like to envision things. So I'm going to ask everyone in our ecosystem today to do this visioning exercise with me. Can you move the slide back one? Oh, back one the other way. Yeah, there we go. So this year, what I want you to do is close your eyes And take a deep breath. And with your eyes closed, think about what you'd like to give Arizona's new parents and young children today. Think about one thing that you'd like to give them that would make their mental, physical, and emotional health better. I'll give you a minute to hold that in your mind. Now, while you're holding that in your mind, see if you can define it with 1 or 2 words. Breathe it in. See it there. Flush it out. What does it look like? What does it taste like? How does it feel? What do you hear? What do you see? What can you smell? What is this gift that you would like to give to Arizona's families? All right. If you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes. Hold it in your mind. I'm opening another poll in Huva, and I'd like to hear what this is. You see the poll, go ahead and put your idea there. If you don't see it, just type it in the chat. I'll give you another minute to get that done. I'm seeing a few in the chat. Confidence, compassion, and love. One thing that I've learned over, I guess, my 45 years of being alive is that for something to become a reality, we need to envision what it is first. So hold those possibilities in your heart and begin envisioning those. And if you want to take time today or tomorrow to think about that even more clearly, to flesh it out even more, let yourself do it. Let yourself really envision what it would look like if everyone had confidence and compassion, if all mothers and children had what they needed. Safe spaces. Beautiful. Now I want you to take the rest of today and mull that gift to Arizona families over in your mind with an eye for connection. How could you make that happen with other people in our ecosystem? Who in our ecosystem could you work with? What connections could you make? What partnerships could you form? What bridges could you and do you need to build to make that dream a reality? Some of those connections may be waiting for you to reach out seriously, really seriously, and you may find them here. Many of them may be speaking for us today or attending this summit. And you might find them in the networking session tomorrow morning. If you didn't get a chance to participate, please do. It was actually really fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you for taking the time to envision that with me. Some final thoughts before we start our main sessions today. If you could advance the slide. Thank you. When we sit down to create the fourth trimester ecosystem summit, we think about a lot of things. Not everything gets in every year, but we think about a lot of things, about the things that are important for us as an ecosystem to talk about the things that are important for us to hear, about the things that are important for our state to heal and to become a place where Arizona mothers and children are safe, to become a safe space. So by design, there is a lot to hear today. Some of it may agree with you and with what you've experienced, and some of it may not. That's okay. As an ecosystem, we can all be open to it. So please be open to all of it and approach this work with an open heart and an open mind. I ask that you think about listening more than you speak. Take breaks when you need them. Use the restroom when you need to. This is something I feel like I need to be told to do. So please feel free to do that when you need to. Talk with others when you want to or need to. Reach out to people in the ecosystem to talk about the things you need to talk about. Offer gratitude, empathy, compassion, and forgiveness. And hold space for the big emotions of yourself and for the big emotions that others have. And let's keep on making this state a better place for families. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenny, for that moving and informative session and bringing to light the importance of working together to make Arizona a better place. As we wrap up this first session of the day, we have a few items to cover. The reason we're gathering today is to communicate and collaborate with each other so that together we can improve maternal and child health here in Arizona. A key element in collaboration is connection. To promote connection, share your favorite Arizona organizations, resources, practitioners, family supports, and advocates on social media in the Are You Following Me board. Not only can you build your network and connect with others, but you'll earn points. Check out the Win a Prize tab to learn more about our awesome prizes. So we'll take our first break for the day now to connect and socialize. We'll see you back here at 9:50 for our session, Mental Health in Arizona's Mothers and Children. Thank you so much.